안녕하세요. 매일매일 운동하기를 실천하고 있는 동탄 왕호입니다. 여러분 햇살이 느껴지시나요? 이 햇살이 날씨가 아주 좋을 것 같죠? 오늘은 1월 6일인가요? 7일인가요? 목요일, 아무튼 목요일 아침입니다. 어제 눈 엄청 많이 왔죠? 지금 이렇게 햇살이 이렇게 좋은데 지금 이 아래는 지옥이에요. 저 아래는 지금 지옥입니다, 여러분. 운전하는 사람들한테는 지옥이고. 어쨌든 출근 잘했습니다. 회사 버스를 타고 겨우 출근했어요. 지각을 했는데 어저께 지각한 사람들은 다 무효로 한다고 하네요. 오늘 지금 근데 도로에 아직도 눈이 많아요. 그래서 날씨가 많이 춥고 해서 또 밤 10시에 또 출근을 하면은 분명히 또 얼어 있단 말이죠. 그리고 내일 아침에 또 새벽 6시에 퇴근을 하려고 그러면 또 도로가 또 얼어 있을 거고요. 그래서 오늘도 버스를 타고 퇴근하도록 하겠습니다. 출근을 하도록 하겠습니다. 어제 눈 진짜 많이 와가지고 눈이 사고가 많이 났다고 하는데 지금 뭐 우리나라는 사고도 아니죠. 지금 미국은 지금 트럼프 지지자들이 의회를 점거했었죠. 저는 너무 졸립니다 지금. 운동을 하고 싶지 않아요. 고민을 많이 했습니다. 운동을 할까 말까. 그래서 어쨌든 영상을 틀어서 오늘은 스쿼트만 조금 하고 바로 쉬겠습니다. 너무 피곤해요. 너무 졸려요. 운동할 땐 CNN이죠.
They would have exposed themselves to criminal punishment.
The senator's 5 minutes is expired.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I would close by just saying, please, my colleagues, do not disenfranchise the voters of Arizona and certify their votes tonight. Thank you.
Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I yield up to 5 minutes to the senator from Utah, Senator Lee.
Senator from Utah.
Mr. President, at the time I prepared my remarks for today, it seems like a lifetime ago.
We're going to continue to monitor this. We're going to bring you significant moments as they occur. David Axelrod, as we watch this, we just heard from Senator James Lankford, sounding very rational and calm. He was actually one of the people who had signed on to this attempt to overturn the election results.
Yeah, well, I think what is clear is that the sobriety of the moment has overtaken some of the emotions that we saw earlier today. And I think the reality of the implications of what's gone on relative to this election has seeped into the consciousness here. The question is whether they're going to go through the whole exercise in the 3 states and so on. But I thought one of the most interesting things that was said by Senator Schumer when he said that the stain on our democracy won't easily be washed away. It has been stunning today, not just to hear what Americans have said about this, but what the world has said about what they saw. An unthinkable thing. America, the citadel of democracy, being the capital being stormed. And the question is, will it change people's behavior at all? Or is this fever that has seized us even deeper? You know, people ascribe it to the president, and the president is the accelerant here, and everyone is laying blame at him, at his feet, as they should, because he was the one who inspired this crowd to go down to the Capitol and in very incendiary ways. But there's something deeper going on in this country.
Oh,
And we need to confront it. We have these people firmly believed today when they went down to the Capitol that they were somehow saving their democracy. The president's rally was called the Save America March. And they believed that this election had been stolen because they'd been told that. And they've been told that not just by the president, but all the channels that he relies on to propagate those messages, and this sort of vicious circle of social media, of misinformation. This is a fundamental problem. And for the Republicans who have reaped the benefit of it here and who are acting out of fear of the mob, as it were, at the polls and the president himself, people need to evaluate how we're going to break this fever, because otherwise this is just going to be a dismal landmark along the way to ruin. And I really hope that we don't just move on in sadness and resume, our normal positions here.
And a dismal landmark that will be reshaped and weakened over time. It'll be reinterpreted as, oh, wasn't that bad? Oh, it wasn't really Trump supporters. I'm already seeing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and also, I've seen on other networks a justification for the crowd. They couldn't be heard any other way. And this was, there was no sympathy expressed for protesters during the summer when that same argument was made. But now there was a justification of the storming of the Capitol. And so, I have to say, it'd be nice to say this is going to be the moment at which we all come to our senses. The end of Trumpism, the end of Trump, rationality will reign. I think it's going to be harder than that.
I think, though, in the Senate, and obviously we haven't spoken to every senator, but there seems to be a general agreement, for even listening to the tone tonight, that this mob was a wholly owned subsidiary of Donald Trump, period. End of paragraph. Wouldn't have happened in the way that it did without the president inciting this the way he did, the way Donald Trump Jr. did this morning. What was striking to me is listening to Mike Pence again, because this was going to be his day where he certified the election, and he finally said to Donald Trump, I've got to do this because that's what the Constitution demands. Tonight, he said to the mob, to the terrorists, whatever you want to call them, you did not win. Violence never wins, freedom wins, and this is the people's house. When you compare that to what the president said on that little video he did earlier today, where he said to them, we love you, it's very different. And Mike Pence.
Right, but Mike Pence has been coddling the same people who stormed this.
Absolutely, but I think Mike Pence...
I understand it's upsetting when it actually happens to you and you're in the building and have to be evacuated.
And he's been forced into this position. I agree with you, because he wouldn't have done it on his own, but he's been forced into this position because you're either with Trump or you're against him at this point. And I think Mike Pence tonight came out and said, guys, you didn't win. And the president is living to fight another day on this.
I'm looking for something. I'm trying to find something. There's some things you have to see to believe, and what we saw today, you have to see that to believe. That was just nuts. There's some stuff you have to believe in order to see. And I believe that breakdowns can lead to breakthroughs if you use them right. I believe sometimes this much disunity can sometimes open the door to some unity. And there's some good stuff that's happened. First of all, Pence did come out before all this and stuck with the Constitution and walked away from the president. That was good. McConnell today gave a speech that any American that loves the Constitution, left or right, could endorse. Biden came out and gave a speech, a beautiful speech about bringing us together. That's good. You did have a miracle happen, frankly, in Georgia, where you're going to have a southern state represented by a black preacher and a young Jewish kid. Something beautiful is trying to happen. You have to believe it to see it, because the ugliness can knock you down. And the overreach by this mob, these Trump rioters, this Trump insurrection is an overreach. Doesn't mean, now, sometimes an overreach can stay and now you're in hell, but sometimes it gives you a moment to pull back. And I do believe, not just because it could happen in a positive way, but because if we want to, we can fight for more unity now, because you looked over the edge into disunity, we could wind up where we're headed. And where we're headed looks more like Syria, the United States of America.
Yeah, I think we're at a sobering moment. What you're seeing here in the United States Senate, I don't think you're going to see 3 objections or 4 more objections. I think this is going to be the only debate. And I think everybody wants this day to end as quickly as possible and to try to pick up and move forward. I'm encouraged by the comments I hear from both sides of the aisle, and I would just say that that's a great place to start. I would just caution for everybody that's been active on social media and the media and everybody else on both sides, maybe we could all learn a lesson and try to tone down the temperature here a little bit. Joe Biden is not going to be successful. We're not going to bring this country together if we continue the rhetoric at the level that we have seen. And I just encourage that maybe this horrible thing that happened today, as Van said, can maybe help have us all sort of say, let's step back a little bit here and let's not be as incendiary as we might want to be and try to set a new course. We have a new president coming in a few days. Let's try to make it an opportunity for unity that he wants to accomplish.
Jim Trudeau is standing by. He has some new reporting on the ground. Jim, where are you? What are you learning?
Anderson, I'm on Independence Avenue just outside the Capitol. You can see it there. Of course, the flags are up because they're in session. But I just want to describe to you the phalanx of security now deployed around the Capitol, because the squad car here, squad cars you can see there, but may not be able to see it, but that whole line of cars up the hill there, that is police. It continues the length of Independence Avenue down here, and every couple of minutes we see a convoy of police, sometimes on foot, sometimes in vehicles. And I have to tell you, Anderson, I've covered elections around the world. I have never seen a security presence like this in my experience. The only comparison is I was sitting here watching this, might have been Iraq, the first parliamentary elections there, with the threat of terrorism all around. But to see this today in the nation's capital, alarming.
Yeah, it's interesting to see it tonight. Jim, I'm wondering where were they earlier in the day when it was known that there was going to be this huge rally? We've known this for weeks now. We knew the president was going to speak at it. We knew he was going to be incendiary. I don't understand what happened here.
It makes no sense, Anderson. I spent the afternoon speaking to people in national security, people who served as commissioner of police, people who served for the Department of Homeland Security. They can't explain it. I don't know if you remember this, but in 1998, Anderson, you remember the Capitol Hill shooting? 2 officers were killed in Capitol Hill. They revamped the entire security of the building, then created a whole new underground entrance to protect the people inside. And today, dozens of them marched inside with minimal at all resistance. And we know weapons were confiscated. We know that pipe bombs were found. People's lives were in danger. It's an enormous security failure. That is the second headline from this, beyond the shock, of course, is how this was allowed to happen.
Yeah, whether it's Capitol Police,
but also what steps will be taken.
Whether it's Capitol
to prevent
Police,
it from happening again. Whether
DC
it's Capitol
City
Police, exactly.
National Guard. What? I mean, there's a huge failure here. Department of Homeland Security that obviously needs to be looked into. Jim, I appreciate you being out there. We've got video of the fatal shooting at the Capitol today. A warning first, it's not easy to watch. We've not taken the decision to air it lightly. That said, in light of all that surrounds it and all that's transpired today, we think it is important because this actually happened. In that context, if you'd rather not watch, now would be the time to look away. It's about 11 seconds. There's no sound, obviously, on this recording. It's hard to see, but you may have seen a gun being pointed, and there was a female in the building, seemed to be in a doorway going up, kind of into the opening of the doorway. A shot rang out, and she then fell on the ground, as you saw. Two people who were there join us now: documentary filmmaker Jade Sacker and left-wing activist John Sullivan. John, you filmed this moment on your phone. Can you describe what happened?
Yeah, so basically all the protesters kind of stormed to get into the chamber. We tried to get into the main entrance right when you walk down the hallway. But that being said, nobody was able to get in because there's 2 guards refusing to move. People there were not really wanting to hurt the police, so they went down a different alleyway. They went to the left of the main entrance of the chambers, and then took a right down the hallway that entered into that glass window that you see. There were about 4 or 5 police officers right at the forefront, and I remember just coming up and seeing one of them like crying, saying they want to go home to their kids, and like
One of the police
we
officers.
were just
weren't
yeah, one of the police officers. It was kind of like a scene out of all he sees is like thousands of these protesters like kind of converge on them yelling, saying, "Let us in here! Let us in here! We're not trying to hurt you." I ended up like talking to a few of them. I said, "Hey, we can like just make a path for you to get through. By no means am I there on the Trump side or the MAGA side, but I don't want to like see people get hurt unnecessarily, especially when like there should be a better way to go about it." So I allowed and told everybody to just let them through. They're willing to go peacefully and just put down their arms and walk through.
So how was this lady shot? I mean, she was trying to get through the door, and was it? Did you see who shot her?
Yeah. So I was getting to that part. So immediately after they started breaking through the glass. Once they broke through the glass, they were using like flagpoles and whatever they had.
한국별표기 10개만 하고 끝내겠습니다.
On the right hand
힘들어.
side, this lady was able to like make her way
힘들어.
all the way through the window. All we see is these guns come out the doorways, just guns, and all you can see is their hand. That's it. You can see faces, and right when I saw that, I was yelling to them. I was like, "Guys, there's guns! There's guns! You don't want to go through there!" Like they were, like they were gonna shoot, like not just like hold it there and run away. They were literally gonna shoot to kill. The second that she climbed through the window, she got shot like right in the neck area, fell backwards, and I just remember like the sense of shock and sorrow that somebody just died and did not need to die because she didn't have a weapon. She wasn't being violent in any way. We just let police officers through. We weren't trying to hurt anybody at that moment in time.
So
From
just
what
to
I can tell,
be clear,